Jack Eagles, the very young and up-and-coming classic IFBB Pro, and a man that I truly believe could become one of the top in the classic Mr. Olympia.
Last prep, it would have been, my lowest was 194, my weight cap was 202. By the time I was on stage, I was probably around about 200.
Yeah, bro, you exploded, dude.
And we pushed it while I was eating like 1,400 grams of carbs. I met the right people at the right age and, started properly like competing in bodybuilding when I was like 16 or 17. Like, the natural scene in the UK is like pretty big.
Have lats always been a strength for you, like ever since the beginning, or is that something like maybe you worked on a little bit more, focused more on as you were competing in men's physique, maybe as you transitioned to classic?
Every single pull session it will be start with some form of Maingain, tried MPP, 150 milligrams a week. The prolactin just skyrocketed, blood pressure skyrockets. Probably low test would be like I turn pro on 300 milligrams a test. Even now my test is at 350.
No question, but you could be the next seed one. How are you feeling?
As you do, as you would at this stage. Like shit, but a good shit. If I wasn't feeling like this, I'd be worried. So, it's where I want to be, which is good.
I mean, if I was looking like you at 5 weeks out, I would be pretty happy. Honestly.
I appreciate it. You know how it gets though. When you're in this place, I can't look at myself from a neutral perspective. I think I'm behind 1 minute, next minute I'm like, I'm too small, next minute it's like, it's always you're picking yourself apart, which I think is what makes you good eventually. But just leave it to the coach and try not to worry about it too much. Right.
How long have you been with your coach for?
3 or 4 years now. Because this is my 5th competitive season. I think I was with him for 3, but I just took a year off season. So it'll be year 4.
Okay. Is this like the first coach that you've been working with?
No, I worked with a coach prior, but he was literally like my best mate. He was just my first ever coach I had.
Okay, that's awesome.
I was with him for the first 2 shows and then moved over to Tom, who I'm with now, and I've been with him ever since.
Bro, I feel like if you've got like a boy that's like really experienced in bodybuilding, that's like better to start off with a coach than like just getting some random coach and shit, bro. Because
I think I was incredibly lucky in terms of I met the right people at the right age and started properly like competing in bodybuilding from I was like 16 or 17 when I did my first prep.
Damn.
And it was actually good advice at that age. It wasn't the usual probably shit that most people get from like some old guy in the gym. Like, I was very lucky to have met Danny when I did, to then have worked with Tom, and I'm very fortunate that I met those people when I did. And although the other people that I have met since is like, I've been very grateful for the opportunities I've had and the advice I've gotten. I think I'm quite lucky with that.
Mm-hmm. So how did this whole bodybuilding journey start for you? Because, bro, like, you're 22 years old, right?
Yeah, 22.
That's fucking nuts, dude. That's literally fucking crazy.
Yeah. I used to play football, so soccer, growing up, at a relatively high standard. The classic, got injured when I was like 16, snapped my Achilles and snapped my thumb and that sort of stuff. And it was from that I then went to the gym to try and like stay fit to keep in the team and pursue that. But obviously didn't stay fit enough. At that standard, at that age, if you get injured, you're done for.
Yeah.
But then ended up just loving the gym. Stayed with that. Started watching YouTube. It was around the time when I was like 16. It was around like David Lade at his like peak, Ryan Terry, those sorts of people. I think it was mainly Ryan Terry that I started watching. But is how I then discovered the competing. And I was like, I just thought I might as well. I moved from the south of England to the north of England one summer. So I left all my mates and everything, had nothing else to do that summer. So I was just like, fuck it, we'll just prep for a bodybuilding show. And I remember I was like 10 weeks out at the time when I decided to do it, Googled bodybuilding diet, and this is when I was coaching myself. Started on that, and then literally 2 weeks later is when I met Danny, who then became my coach for the rest of that prep. And then won that first show, won my junior men's physique class, and then went on to the overall, won the overall. Didn't even know what an overall was going into that show. I got off stage from winning junior, expecting to like be able to eat a donut and go home. And they were like, "Oh, you got to stay for the overall." I was like, didn't know at the time. Stayed there, won that, and then that was that. So that was and then did another show 2 weeks later. So the first show was a natural show. So I won the natural show to start with, and then did an untested show the week after or 2 weeks after, because that's what Danny was doing. I wanted to do a show with him.
Right.
Ended up winning the junior class there as well. It was a natural against assisted athletes. And I think it was a different federation. It wasn't IFBB.
Okay, gotcha.
But that got you like a different pro card at the time. And I did the pro show, got obviously absolutely wiped the floor with. But it was that was the first season, and that was when I sort of knew I liked it, knew I had obviously genetics and potential by that point, because you know I'd been told so many times by that point it's not normal to be 17 winning the overall at your first show. And so from there I just fell in love with it and just thought I'll just keep doing it because I enjoy it. And then very fortunately it's turned into what it has to where it's now a career, through obviously coaching, but now also through sponsors and stuff. And I was like, I get to do this for a living. And it's literally, it was my hobby, it was my passion. And for that to then become this at this age is something I could never have dreamed of. So it's a great place to be.
Yeah, bro, you fucking exploded, dude. I feel like I first saw your content like a year ago, maybe when you were doing your posing routines on video.
Okay, so
like your reels and stuff. And I just remember thinking like, man, this guy's got some fucking posing style and some crazy proportions. And literally like a year later, dude, I can't even express to you just how fucking crazy I feel like your transformation has been in the last year alone. Like that's just fucking nuts, man. It's insane.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was a big off season. We pushed it hard. It was the first time. So obviously when I started competing at 17, like following that season, it was like a 6-7 month off season every time. And I'd just prep again. So I prepped 4 years in a row, right up into the point when I did get my pro card. Obviously I eventually transitioned to classic physique. And then that's where I did turn pro in the end, was classic physique, not men's physique. Turn pro, and then it was like, right, so I got my pro card, and then it was at the NPC European, so it has a pro show attached to it, and quite a big one at that. And that was the day after, so I turned pro on the Saturday. The Sunday was the pro show. I was like, I'm in shape, I'm in Spain, I might as well just jump on stage. And that was 2023, and it was Wesley Visser was doing it. And because I just turned pro, I was the last number. Wesley was the second to last on, so I was pumping up backstage with Wesley, having just turned pro, which was
what show was this again?
This is 2023 NPC European. So it's literally the day I turned pro, the day after I turned pro. So that was technically the pro debut, but I don't count it because it was like, I was still an amateur. So I did that, and it was just like so cool to have the opportunity to, like, Wesley at that time was like, one of the guys I looked up to, never thought I'd even be meeting the bloke anytime soon, let alone standing on stage with him. And he was lovely as well. Like back then, he's always been such a nice guy to me. So he's cool. Credit to Wesley, he's such a like a role model in the sport as well. But that was sick. But it was also at the same time, like I was literally just the initial comparison. I was walking out next to Wesley, and it's like me 1 week after turning 21, standing next to the guy that went on to win the Arnold Classic a few months later.
Crazy.
It was a very realistic look at the standard of what the pro league actually is. Because, you get to the top of the amateur ranks, and I've been doing pro qualifiers for about a year or two. So you kind of, whereabouts the standard is. And that's the only standard. You're like, pros seem like a whole different level. But then to actually realize right now I am a pro, it's just the pro league. There's no weight cap. Like there's weight caps, but there's no like height classes or anything. It's just like, you're a pro, you compete with the best.
Yep.
That realistic look, I'm very fortunate I had that straight away after turning pro, because it was like, great, you've turned pro, but there's a shitload of work needed to be done now if you ever want to be competitive again or place at a show again. So it was like, right, okay, I need to take the time out to grow. I'm too small, I'm too shit. And that's where I then spent the last year and a half growing. And obviously with getting older anyway, because I am still so young, like even when I turned pro, my physique was very immature. It was very, and it still is, to be honest. It's still got, I think, a young look to it. It's not dense, or it's not, got that, that old man skin texture. Just that maturity is still what I'm lacking. But I think more of the maturity has come through in the last year and a half, and that's obviously aided to, I think, such a visual improvement. But there's still such a long way I think I need to go to be competitive on the pro leagues. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's like, I love the process. I love the off season. I've always got a big appetite. Like, I love to eat.
Same, bro.
Love to crow. Same. Yeah, it's the best part, isn't it?
Yeah. It's what food
and like when I'm getting in shape, it's like, I've got to diet hard and push it hard, because my body just wants to grow. It just wants to put on size. Like, it's just the way I've always been. And I think it's a great problem to have. It's, you're always one or the other. So yeah, I just love the off season.
Yeah, I fucking love it, dude.
Great.
It's almost embarrassing that I feel like I want to ask my coach if I can eat more.
How much food do you want?
Real quick, guys. So while I was looking at the YouTube analytics, I actually saw that 85% of you guys that watch this channel are not subscribed. And I want to ask very little of you guys, but if you enjoy this podcast, if you find value in it, then please do me this one favor and subscribe to the channel, because doing so helps me get bigger and greater guests like the guests you are listening to today. Also, this channel is not sponsored, which means only the companies that I work with, which are Young LA and Huge Supplements, are the companies that can help fund this channel by you guys using the code NILE. So code NILE gives you a discount of 15% off of Young LA, and code NILE also gives you a discount of 10% off of Huge Supplements. And if you decide to purchase anything from any of these companies, it will help immensely for me by using my code. And this way, I can travel to other guests and also upgrade an equipment to make this podcast bigger and better for you guys. I'm on 3,400 calories, 3,500 right now. Yeah, it's nothing crazy.
Yeah, no, that's not that bad.
But I gain weight so easily, bro. I've been on this upwards trend of at first it was like 0.92 pounds per week. Now it looks like it's about 0.7 pounds per week on average in the last several weeks. But like at a 3,500 calorie count, it's kind of crazy.
Quite a lot, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'd be like maintaining, I think about How much do you weigh, sorry?
I am 200 now.
200 pounds, okay, cool.
Yeah, for the first time, baby. Let's go. Small guys.
Good stuff.
What about you? What's your weight and your height?
I'm just over 5'9". I'm scraping 5'9". Right now, 215. My weight cap's 212. Peak off season, my heaviest this year, I was 254.
Gotcha.
But I was only there for like a short span of time, and then it dropped off a little bit. I know it was a big off season.
Holy shit, that's savage.
Didn't feel great at 254. I'll be honest. It was an experience.
Fuck, who was I talking about this with? I think it was Lex Little. Do you know Lex? Have you heard of him?
Yeah. Lex,
yeah. I was at Zoo yesterday night, and he was talking to me about he was just talking to me with his usual rants and open transparency, and telling me about how much he fucking gets so annoyed about the entire the whole Maingaining situation going on.
Yeah,
probably partially due to Greg a little bit, but it's just been pissing him off because he bulked a lot. Like, he's been working under Kyle recently, and he gained a lot of weight in the off season and got pretty fat. And he said when he posted something a little bit controversial about his weight gain and how it was basically him getting a little bit fat was vaulted. He got flooded in the DMs with 100 DMs of people basically saying the exact same thing about saying no, it's not, you didn't have to get that fat in the off season. You could have gained that much mass. And he's like, dude, you can't make those claims. He gained what seems to look like almost 16 pounds of somewhat lean tissue as a natural, which is fucking nuts. Do you really think that him bringing that down isn't optimizing? I just think maybe it's for crazy. Naturals, maybe it's not as necessary, but I think
I'll disagree. I think even if you're natural, the most anabolic thing you've got access to is food. You've got to fuel yourself. You just got to fucking train like an animal.
Yeah.
Because the natural scene in the UK is pretty big, pretty light. Mm-hmm. With AJ Morris and people like that, it's certainly growing at a stupid rate at the minute. And it's all those guys, they take a typical off season got to be 2 years just because they need the time to be able to drive food and just drive training for that long to actually make any significant improvement show to show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're natural, you've just got to use that because that's the only tool you've got is food and training.
Yep. Yeah.
So to try and do that lean, it'll work, and yes, you'll look better throughout, but you won't make the progress that the guy that's putting away shitloads of food will. You've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you want to make significant progress in a short space of time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Even in bodybuilding, there's not one open pro bodybuilder who's not had a massive off season. Nobody's lean gained their way to being an open IFBB Pro. It's never happened. Even in classic,
yeah, dude.
I struggle. You look at Mike. He's just had one of the best off seasons we've probably seen. He was on here saying he gained 60 pounds. It's he did not gain 60 pounds in 4 months. It's 15 pounds a month. That's literally, he's doing a pound every 2 days.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts.
Crazy. It's crazy.
He looks so big right now, bro. And I saw him in person at the Yeah, he looks even fucking bigger in person.
Really?
Who was it? God damn it, who was it? I'm just brain farting right now, but my boys that do the comedy TikToks on Young LA, were doing this like YouTube video of like measuring our arms. So they went to like Larry Wheels, Larry Gao, and then went to a couple other people, and then they went to me and measured my arm. And my arm was a lot bigger than I thought it was. I don't remember if it was 18 or 19, but I was expecting like fucking 12 inches or something. And then they fucking went up to Martin later, and I was like, God damn it, dude, I didn't know you guys were going to go to Martin. Like, that's not even fair. We all know who's going to win. Martin had like 23-inch biceps or something. And I'm pretty sure he's like, how tall is he? Like, maybe my height max.
Yeah, he's not that tall.
I
was at Prague. I went to Prague for the show. I actually booked it before Chris announced he was doing it. I got mad lucky with that. So I had like a sick ticket, like quite near the front. I could have resold that shit and made like so much money from it.
It's fucking awesome.
Because like, I booked it literally a week before, and then Chris announced it. I was like, fucking, what a show to be at. But yeah, like people, I don't think anyone who's not actually seen an open bodybuilder in person is so much more impressive than you think. You know, Instagram will never do justice to how like just the space they occupy is fucking crazy.
It fucking doesn't, man. It really doesn't. Like, to be honest, I feel like the stage photos just look like absolute dog shit. No hate to the Manions or anything, but I feel like stage photos and stage lighting need just a little bit of work in certain competitions. Yeah. But I agree. Like, you'll see like backstage videos at least, and that'll already get you like a better idea, because you see people moving through upwards lighting, and you can see how the light changes as they walk through. And like you just see the density,
like depth, don't you?
Right. And I saw the backstage videos at the Olympia, and all the top classic guys went through, Dino included, and then I saw someone that I didn't ever really believe. Like, he's got a lot of hype, but I didn't really. I think I prejudged his physique based off his shape and his waist size, which is a Hosema.
Oh yeah,
even though he looks amazing and he gets really fucking peeled.
Yeah, I was literally with him last week. He's crazy.
Yeah, dude. And then I saw the video backstage, and I was like, wow, dude, it's crazy. He pops. He's just so much bigger than I thought. Like, it's just so clear. And you can't really see that as well when you're looking at comparisons on stage photos or anything. You got to see
the thing with Jose as well is like, he's big, like he looks big, but then when you put your hand on him and you just feel his like shoulder, like I've got big hands, like his shoulder's like a fucking football. He's mental. Like that's what I mean as well. Like, he's only a year older than me. He's only 23, so he's so young. But his physique has that maturity and that density that mine just doesn't. And I think that's the difference between a top 6 Olympian and then just like a pro, right? There's, you know, it's that level of size and
I see
density to him. But I don't know if I can say this, but I'm sure he won't mind. He's 12 weeks out of Pittsburgh. He's still got 12 kilos to lose. It's like, this is a serious chunk of weight, because I'm only 3 pounds over my cap now, and we're feeding, you know, pretty occasionally at the minute just to try and slow the rate of loss down, because otherwise my physique will just waste away. So, but then you look at the top of classics, like these guys are killing themselves to make that weight cap. And that's why they've got this like granite density to them, because it's just like they're taking off muscle to get there, basically. Yeah. So, but it's great for me, because it means I've got another big off season in me.
No, exactly. And another thing is, like, obviously we don't know if this is going to happen, but if they do accidentally gain a little bit of extra mass in the off season that they don't intend, it really hurts them in the future, you know? Like, I think there's like this, I don't know, I feel like there's this sweet spot when it comes to coming down for a show, that once you get bigger and bigger and bigger, you have to lose more and more and more for your weight cap. Yeah, it really does start destroying the look of your physique. I think, I don't know who it was, if it was Handy Rambod talking about Ramon doing that in the last couple of shows or so.
Ramon's had to push it very hard, hasn't he, recently? And it's the last sort of year, 2 years, he's not been the same as like his 2023 look, because I think it maybe is because he's having to kill himself so much to make that weight cap. So it'll be interesting to see how it progresses now, because even Chris, like, it did start, I feel like Chris's best year was his first year with Honey, and then he obviously probably did get bigger just from fucking sleeping. He probably got bigger, like, and then the years after it was just maybe more taxing for him to get there, because then you see him in Prague and it's like crazy. And he was like, you know, that 5-6 pound difference where he doesn't have to just suck down. Right. It's a different physique. It's just a different look. And that's like, yeah, it's interesting to see like those, like, I think Mike's perfect at the minute where he doesn't quite have to bury himself to make that weight cap. So he can bring in like that polished final look. And that's, yeah, that is a sweet spot, isn't it? Because people, I feel like Ramon has probably gone past that. But it'd be interesting if he can bring it back.
Mike only had like 3 pounds left, right? For his weight camp?
Yeah, I think that's what he said, didn't he? So
yeah, pretty close. And I think he just closed the gap this offseason.
Yeah, he looks so big at the minute.
It's crazy, bro. He looks like a fucking, I don't know, he reminds me of Keelan. He looks very bodybuilder-esque. Yeah. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, it's just like inflated muscle. It's like he's dieting. Like I'm dieting down at the minute. I look in the mirror, I'm like, everything's so flat and just like non-3D. But then you just look at like these fucking guys on Instagram all the time. They're just like, they look like they're just constantly on high days. It's like Samson, I've never seen the guy flat. He's always just looks like he's eating 1,000 grams of carbs. It's fucking crazy. It's not fair, nuts. Mate. It's just not fair.
I think you got a pretty humble perspective though, bro, because I'm pretty sure the rest of us think that's what you look like.
I mean, but you're wrong. But I'm sure, it's probably the grass is always greener, isn't it? So, yeah. But yeah, I'm looking in the mirror, and they probably say the same about them, their physique. They probably look in the mirror and think like, Mike probably wakes up and thinks, fucking hell, this is shit. I'm so flat. And then we're looking at it, his quads are like, fucking just wild.
Yeah, man, literally. It's crazy how much our mind adjusts to our body, like day by day. Like we get excited about that day, but then it's almost like that image that we saw in the mirror that day is now implanted into our brain, and now everything else, if it's worse than that, makes us feel like shit. So it's 100%. Just it's fucking unreal, because then we look back at our old pictures, like when we're in our off season of us when we were like on stage, and we're like, Jesus Christ, I was peeled as fuck or something.
Yeah, I remember that from my very first season. Like when I remember being like competing. It was like your first prep. It just went by so quick. I didn't really take any of it in because I was just like dying the whole time, and then enjoyed post show food a bit too much. Like I remember being like 3 or 4 weeks post show, looking back at like check-ins from just before the show. I was like, I did not remember looking like that at any point. And I was like, what the fuck? And I looked at myself. Then I was like, oh, fuck, this rebounds so badly.
It's the best time of the year.
It was a good few days, yeah. It was a great few days.
Good few days. Yeah. As long as it lasts. What was your stage weight last show?
Last prep, it would have been, my lowest was 194. My weight cap was 202. I remember, at my very lowest, I was 194. By the time I was on stage, I was probably around about 200 because I got quite lucky with that show, that pro qualifier specifically, that weigh-ins were actually a day and a half before I was on stage. So I had a full day and a half to carb up. So that was quite good. And we pushed it hard. I was eating like 1,400 grams of carbs.
Damn. How many days? How many days did you eat you said 400 grams of carbs?
1,400.
1,400 grams of carbs.
Yeah, we pushed it like hard.
No way, dude.
The day before we did 1,400. I think I did like 800. So I weighed in early morning, like 9 a.m. Weighed in, I think it was Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Was done there. The rest of that day, I think we did 800 to 1,000. It will be in my YouTube video. I can go back and look, but 800 to 1,000 that day. And then the Friday I think we planned to do 1,000, got to 1,000. We're like, we just need more. Did another 400 on top. And then was on stage Saturday midday-ish, because I was on a bit later on the Saturday as well, so we kind of wanted to wake up a little bit spilled over and then just dry out through the Saturday, because Spain was so hot as well. It wasn't an issue drying out. But then again, sorry.
So what's your what is your calorie maintenance? Like how much do you bulk and prep on?
Prep right now, I think it's only just over 2,000. Like it's low at the minute. Okay, considering how far out we are. We had to, like this prep especially, it's had to go a lot lower than once prior. Not too sure why. I think it's perhaps because we did spend so long. Like I spent well over a year, over 240 pounds. So my body kind of got used to that and then suck it down. I had a few weeks where we just weren't dropping at all, sort of stuck around 235. And it hit the point where it's like, shit, we need to get things moving now. So then just had to ramp food down and then came in really quick. But now we're just having to hold it there and just feed and run low days to high days. But yeah, I think training day today is just over 2K, I think. In the off season, it was up over 6 for majority, like 5-7 to just over 6-2, somewhere around there was majority of where I'm at, like peak off season. So I think maintenance probably be about 4-5 if I had to guess.
Okay, gotcha. How long did it take for you to drop from that 250, 240-ish to now? Like, how long is your prep?
This prep's been quite short. I think we pushed it a little bit too short in hindsight, because last prep I came in very quickly. So we were like, we only need like 14-ish weeks. I think we left it because the way the timeline worked, it meant that I could then enjoy Christmas as well. So I was like, sound, have Christmas dinner. Well, I think we started prep on like officially like the 23rd of December, but it was like you can have your Christmas dinner off and that sort of stuff. So I think I peaked that 254 was late November, and then I had quite a bit of traveling around Europe. I was in Germany, Vienna, and Prague, and that sort of stuff. So that sort of really pushing it 10 pounds did sort of drop off by the time it came to start prep. So I started prep around 244-ish. Was around there probably just about Christmas time, early New Year. Stuck at 235 till probably 20th of January, somewhere like that. And then it's come down pretty quick. I think we took off about 15 pounds in 2 weeks, probably something just over, something like that.
Jesus, bro, what the fuck?
It just went. It was just like wasn't moving. Put cardio in, changed a few things, and straight away, boom, just bang. Wow. And then it's just been, I think I've been at 215, 214, 215's been a low for like a week and a half, 2 weeks now. Because we've done quite a few high days, and I was down in London traveling. So we come back from that, done a few more high days, back to a low this morning. And we're now going to dig down to probably around 212, get to the weight cap now over this next weekend, and then just feed up again, probably early next week and go from there. But my physique's one of those that if I dig too hard for too long, it just goes. My quad sweep goes, and like shape is such a strong point to my physique. Yep. That when I get really flat, that shape goes, and then it's like there is no strong point. It's like, sure, I'm peeled, but when you get that flat as well, you almost get a bit watery, and it's the skin's not tight, so then you actually look fatter, even though you're like shredded. No,
100%. Yeah, I like what Stefan Kienzel calls it is like pressure
in the muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my physique's one of those, like, you get these people that even if they're a little bit off, they still look fantastic. It's like, if I am flat, you can very clearly see it. So that's where being with Tom for so many years now, we know this, because in 2022 we absolutely fucked it and just pushed so hard. My physique just went the complete wrong direction. Couldn't save it no matter how much food we put in. And even last year when I turned pro, it was like probably pushed it a little bit too hard. Just by the end, my quads had faded. Like the regional, I think, was probably a better look than the actual pro qualifier. And like we were obviously filling hard, 1,400 grams of carbs, 800 the day before that, and it still wasn't. I was still a little bit flat when it came to the stage. So just using that data and making sure that we don't fuck me up for too long. This prep is the plan. But so like low days are low, but then we're feeding fairly often as well, so you can't really complain.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember you saying that in one of your YouTube videos recently. I think it was like the Q&A maybe, about how like you tend to feel like your physique looks better when you're full, or when you make sure that you maintain a higher level of fullness. Yeah,
it makes a massive difference to my physique specifically.
I've noticed that with my physique too, that my shape is just so much better. Like you, when I push, my legs go fast. And I know this happens with a lot of people, but for me particularly, I think my legs are a weak point of mine, and like any shape just goes the moment that I'm pushing the last 3 weeks too hard. So just becomes sticks, which is kind of frustrating, because I feel like sometimes, I don't know. The problem is I've only competed in men's physique. I haven't done my first classic show yet. So I don't really know how my conditioning will look there, because it's like my glutes will get peeled before my abs are perfectly peeled in a weird way.
Oh, okay.
But for me, I feel like I don't get conditioned enough unless I push that last 3 weeks that hard. So it's such a fucking hard balance to like capture, you know?
Yeah, it's just where you got to do it time and time again. You eventually learn the rough realm, and it's where having the coach you can trust makes, I think, a massive difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And having that data. But it's the whole point of the sport, isn't it? It's like that, getting that balance right is what makes it so interesting. Because on any day, like we've seen it like Ramon, he could be so off. And then if he's on it this year, he could be right back at the top. It's like you just never know what physique you're actually going to bring right up to the last minute. So
100%. Cool. Who's the coach that you're working with again?
Tom Hames. He's a bit of I don't want to say lesser known, but he's a bit of a smaller coach out of the UK. But yeah, I've been with him for like 4 years. It's fantastic. So
yeah, are you guys like pretty near each other location wise?
About 3 hours, so not really, because that's like quite far in the UK. Obviously, for the States, that's like down the road, but like over here, that's pretty far. Yeah. So I've seen him once in person, and I'm going to see him again. I think we're planning for Monday next week. We'll like meet up halfway and just like do an in-person check-in, and that'll probably be it until the show.
That's cool. That's dope. I'm fucking excited to see you at the Detroit, bro. That's going to be crazy. It's going to be insane.
It's going to be a hell of a show, Detroit. Yeah, it's going to be I'm glad I've picked that one it just gives like straight away I'm standing next to Wesley again. So it's like, I can see the progress I've made very clearly, and like he's doing the Arnold. So I'll see him next to Mike, who potentially could go on to win the Olympia. Even Wesley could go on to win the Olympia, right? And then I'm going to get to stand next to him, hopefully stand next to him at my first show this season. So it gives me a very realistic look at where I'm at and where I need to get to. Because if I did like a smaller show, because there's like 70 classic shows this year or something crazy like that. If I did a smaller show and there wasn't, someone who'd been to the Olympia there before and I did, win it, fantastic. I've won a show and I'm going to the Olympia and that's great, but I have no real reference point for where I'm going to stack up at the Olympia. Yep. And then that means I've got to spend this whole year dieting just because of the way my season's fallen. Like if I do qualify, I'm pretty much back in prep for the Olympia straight away. So that's a year of me not really growing anymore or developing my physique anymore because it's just spent dieting. And then if I eventually do get to the Olympia and I'm like 52nd, not that that's bad, you're still 52nd in the world, that's fantastic, but that's not where I want to be.
Yep.
And I don't want to waste this whole year dieting because I am still so young. I've got so much time that it's like, if I can just do Detroit, find out, okay, right, I need a way better back to be anywhere close to these top 10 guys like Wesley. Fantastic. Straight back in the off season, take another year out and not waste time basically just trying to run to the Olympia just to say I've been to the Olympia. It's much more of a long-term plan in my head. So that's why I'm so glad that like Detroit has become such a big show and so stacked because it gives me the opportunity to stand next to those top guys.
Yeah, that's a really cool goal. And I think pretty laudable of you to do because I think for anybody like doing your pro debut can be a little bit daunting. I think one of the only other people I heard speak with that perspective for the pro debut is Anton. I know he wants to do a big show like the New York Pro, or I don't know what he's actually planning, but it is cool because it does give you a big idea of where you're going to stack up. And I think also if you know that you're going to do well, can create a splash, which is really nice. But in terms of, I guess, do you remember where you stood against Wesley in your last show?
Not anywhere remotely close. I was lucky just because of like the initial call out, like the initial just numerical call out. I was next to him. So I didn't get to actually see myself stood straight next to him. Yeah. But in terms of actual call outs, he was obviously center of the first call out. He won the show. I was, I think, third call out.
That's not that far.
Well, that was a good like 12 to 15 people stood in between us.
I gotcha.
But yeah, it was a good opportunity I still got, I hit a round of mandatories next to him. So
yeah,
it got me exactly what I wanted, which was again to get that reference point and just know what I needed to work on in the off season.
What do you think you are going to land at body weight wise for this stage weight?
It's hard to say. I think I've got 5 to 8 pounds of weight to come off. I'm not going to say fat to come off because it won't all be fat, obviously. But I'm 215 has pretty much been a low so far. Weight cap's 212. I reckon I'll land probably at my lowest 208, somewhere around there.
That's fucking.
And
awesome.
I'd like to be around there. I don't want to be close to the cap because if weigh-ins, I don't know what time weigh-ins are, but let's say weigh-ins are like 5 p.m. Then you can't eat all day the day before the show.
Yeah.
And then you've not got any time to fill up, and then my physique will be probably a little bit flat, tired, and it probably won't be the best look. So actually, I'd quite like to be a good, like, you know, a few 5 pounds of wiggle room would be sick. That's what I'm hoping. So yeah, hopefully I'll probably be 208 lowest, sometime around there, but not that concerned as long as it's, you know, 3-4 pounds under the cap and I'm in shape. That's all that matters.
Yeah. I mean, even landing at 208 is going to be fucking crazy, because how long was this last off season for you?
18-ish months, September to, that's probably like 15 months, yeah.
15 months. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Just a little bit over a year, but shooting for hopefully, you know, potentially
like
14 pounds.
15 pounds, yeah.
That's fucking nuts, bro.
Yeah, he's actually a bit stupid when you say it like that. Maybe I need to be leaner. No, I'm saying like shit. Maybe I do need to get a bit leaner. But yeah, we'll see.
I mean, in my perspective, it looks like actual fucking real tissue. So I would not be surprised if that was how much weight you gained.
Comparing photos from this prep to last prep, it's hard to judge because there is so much more muscle that I think you can potentially look leaner than you are because there is just more detail and stuff going on. But certainly from the glutes, hamstrings, that sort of stuff, like they've got more detail in them now than they did a day out last year. And I'm still 5 weeks out.
Damn, that's fucking awesome.
So yeah, that's good. But there's still, you know, the lower back still needs to lose a few pounds. So, and you're only as lean as your fattest body part. So there's still more to go.
Right.
But we'll see. I'll be up a good 10 to 12 pounds at least, which is all you could ever want for taking an off season. So yeah, zero complaints there. Happy with that.
Same, 100%. I'd be super happy with that. I saw this was in one of the questions in the Q&A actually, but I want to ask it anyways because now I'm fucking curious and we're talking about proportions. But so yeah, I think one of the greatest things about your physique too is just your shape is fucking insane, dude. It's literally fucking nuts. And I don't mean to blow your head up or anything, but I do believe that you have a massive, massive potential to become the next Mr. O someday, for sure.
Thank you. Means a lot.
I think it's just there, man. And I think it's clear for a lot of people. I think even one of the other people in the Q&A said, like, honestly, I think, like, no question, I just think that you're right about his potential. Though I haven't analyzed much or enough, but I'm curious because I think the growth in your shape has been pretty phenomenal in this last off season. But like, what was your focus? Did you have any priorities on any specific muscle groups? And was any of this also a result of feedback from judges or feedback from a coach?
So, I mean, a large aspect was just more muscle everywhere. Obviously, you know, I was still small before, still am, but my back especially, like, that was one of the main things when I hit a back double next to Wesley straight after turning pro. It's like fucking reality check. You know, your shit, get better. The back was definitely need to bring up, and we have put a lot on there. I still think I need a lot more to stand with pros from the rear. Glutes, hamstrings, development wise, I'm happy with, but just the actual back itself, the upper back, you know, that sort of area there just needs a lot more thickness to it still. And then quad sweep as well. But like in the off season, my legs look really overpowering almost. But it's because my quads stay so lean year round. Like, they're still feathered when I was like 250. And all that's really happened from 250 to now is they've just lost sweep. They've got a little bit more detailed, but they've primarily just lost sweep, just because they are the first thing to come in, and I'm still having to get everything else in. They just, you know, fade a little bit. So it was almost get the quads overly big so that I can afford to obviously lose some of those. And then also obviously just changing a few things with prep, a little bit more quad frequency this time around. Those sorts of bits have made a big difference actually. So the quads are holding on a lot more, but we still have 5 weeks to go. So still, you know, a lot of time for that to go wrong, but we'll do everything we can to make sure it doesn't. But yeah, it was a lot more back and a lot more quad were the two priorities, but more so for the off season, it was build a better back. And now I'm getting leaner. I'm like, I need more arm because I just see fucking everyone hitting front doubles and their arms are fucking huge. So it was back, which we did, but like now I'm getting leaner and leaner and leaner, and prep brain's kicking in. I'm just looking at everything thinking, shit, I should have focused more on arms, need more hamstring, like everything like that. So it's one of them. But Yeah, it was a productive off-season. I don't think I could have done much more than I did. Which is nice. It gives me peace of mind, when I step on stage 5 weeks time, it's like, this is as good as I could have been at 22. And it's like, wherever I land, that's how good I am. People that beat me, they're better than me. That's fine. I'll go away and get better. So when you look at it as well from that perspective, it kind of gives you peace of mind. It's like, sure, I really want to do well. And of course I'd love to win, but it's like, at the same time, I've done everything I possibly could have to win. If I don't, chances are, unless something goes horrifically wrong in peak week or whatever, chances are it's out of my control. Somebody is just better than me. And chances are they're probably older than me. So it's like, wait till I'm their age and then see. And then if I still lose, then I need to find a different excuse. But no, for sure, like, yeah, we'll see. It'll be good.
Yeah. For the quads, you said you changed the frequency and it made a difference. Can you be a little bit more specific? Like what exactly was it before versus now?
Because genetically, like my legs have always grown very easily in the off season. And last prep, I just had one leg day a week. So I was doing like a push, pull, rest, push, pull, legs, rest, repeat, split. So it was legs once a week. On that leg day, I was only doing one set of squat pattern. So I was only doing one set of pendulum squat throughout the entire prep, because that's all I was needed to do in the off season to maintain like, in proportion legs. As that prep went on and, you start to get a little bit tired, it's like the intensity of that one leg day a week was certainly dropping off. And that one set of pendulum probably just wasn't enough, because it's let's say 1 week I'm just really fucking dragging, head's not quite in it. I fuck that set. I don't push it quite hard enough. It's like, right, your one set of squats for that entire week was just wasted. Yep. And then I go and pound. I was doing incline treadmill for cardio that prep, and I was just pounding away quite high impact on the legs. And you do that for a week, and then like I had the regional shows. I have peak week where I'm not going to train legs, and then I've got 1 week, and then it's peak week for the pro core where I'm not going to train legs. So if I fuck up that leg day in between, it's like you've had 3 weeks not training legs whilst pounding cardio, and I think that's probably why my legs did flatten off so much. So taking that into this year, it's like in the off season, I was still really only doing legs once every 7 days because that's all it needed. As we then transitioned into prep, the split adapted. So I'm doing 3 days on, 1 day off now. And it's like a push, pull, sort of quads and arms session. So just a touch up on quads. And then it's push, pull, full leg day. But that quads and arms session has like 2 sets of leg extension, 2 sets of a hip press, and then 2 sets of split squat. So it fucks me up. And then 4 days later, I've got a full leg day where again, it's 2 sets of leg press, it's 2 sets of pendulum and walking lunges. So every 4 days I'm hammering my legs this prep. Whereas last year it was like once every 7 days I was doing 1 set of pendulum. So it's like there's been a big difference there. And I've also moved like cardio this time around has been cross trainer. So not as hardcore as the incline treadmill, but a lot less impact, like no impact. So it's been a lot less taxing to the legs as well. I think that's made a difference. So just doing those 2 things of changing the cardio source and also improving the frequency of hitting quads. And we're also, when we do run high days, typically now we're doing two back-to-back high days, around 800 to 1,000 grams of carbs, the 2 days prior to the leg day. So the push and pull day, I'll be eating 800 to 1,000 grams of carbs for those 2 days. So then by the time it gets to legs, it's like all that food's in me, ready to be put to fucking work in the leg day.
Yep.
And that's been working really well as well, because then those sessions are phenomenal. I get a really good pump, loads of blood stimulus driven to the quads, and that's why they're holding a lot better, I think, is all these things that we learned from last prep and then apply to this prep. Yeah,
those are 100% everything that I would, choose. And I'm sure my coach would too, in terms of keeping the fullness in our legs. The last show that I had this knee injury that happened literally the beginning of peak week, which was kind of the most annoying thing in the world. But comparing this show versus a show that I had maybe 4 weeks earlier, the last 3 weeks, about the same, still pushing really hard. Calories are low, 1,700 calories, still doing a fuck ton of cardio every day. But the difference was, instead of doing legs twice a week, I was now doing legs 0 times a week for a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. I don't know if it was the beginning of peak week. I would say it was like right when I flew out but I flew out really early. So it was more about like a week and a half. But yeah, literally in that last period of time, in a week and a half, that I just did not train legs at all, and had literally that low of calories. It's crazy to just see how much my legs shrunk. Like I have pictures stacked and I can literally show the differences. But by the time it was 1 week after the show and I still couldn't do legs, the difference in shape is just so crazy. It's like looking at like a, you just have something with sweep and then you look at a fucking toothpick, bro.
Yeah.
It's just
It
fucking
just
unreal.
melts. It's crazy.
It literally does.
Because I've got it from the end of my last prep as well. It's like all the check-ins, they're in the same spot, the same lighting, and I'm hitting the pose the exact same. If you just swipe through them as the days go on, you can literally just see my quads coming in. And it's fucking, you don't notice it at the time, and then you look back and it's like, fuck, your legs at like 4 weeks out look so much better.
Yeah.
It's crazy how quick your body adapts when it's like that efficient at that point. It's on that lower food. It does anything. It's like, legs don't need any nutrients. Fuck them. Right, they can go.
Right.
Send it elsewhere. It's crazy.
So for hitting your back and bringing your back up, was it like total back or was it just back thickness, upper back?
It was a bit of everything. Lats have always been quite strong from the front. I think probably like higher insertions or whatever. So that waist and the lats look good. So the lats weren't a major issue. I've always been able to connect quite well with those, but it was just the whole thickness through like the lower lat insertion, bringing that out more, and then traps and ROMs all up there. So like, it was kind of the whole back basically. It just needed a lot more thickness and density to it, and it still does. But in terms of bringing that up, like because of the people I met, as I was saying earlier, like the style of training I've been following pretty much since I was 16, 17 is like, people call it like the train by JP style. It's that top set, back off set, 2 sets per exercise till failure.
Yeah.
Progress the load every single fucking week. Like, that's what I was doing. And I still kind of do, but it was this last off season where I kind of got to a point with strength as well. It was like I got so strong that those 2 sets would either cause an injury or be so fatiguing that it's not really bodybuilding at that point. And it also got to the point where I was so worried about just moving this massive weight from point A to point B. I wasn't giving a shit whether I was feeling the muscle contract or not. So it's kind of taking a step back from that and a bit more, I guess you say like Mike Israel style through the backs training, like actually getting a stretch and then feeling it contract and like, lift the chest and actually pull through and get that feeling there. And as a result, obviously load came down a fair bit, but the overall pump and like actual connection to my back was so much better. And I was still doing heavy shit. Like I was still, shifting some weight on like a bent over row, but then at the same time, I'd be going on to like a seated row or like a T-bar and actually working my back through its full range of motion. And maybe doing 3 sets in a drop set as opposed to just 2 all out sets. And that almost combination then of both led to a lot more growth. And it's kind of now what I'm also applying to my chest, because I got crazy strong at chest pressing, but had no chest to show for it because it probably ended up being all front delt and tricep. And so now I've taken a step back on that as well. It's like I'm lifting a plate and a half less than I was before for less reps, but my chest is so much more fucked up after the set. So I guess that, dropping the ego basically and training for bodybuilding rather than just training to get strong from point A to point B has made a big difference. But at the same time, like in my early years, I grew a lot and I fucking loved just getting strong. I really enjoyed it. Could I have been maybe a little bit more efficient if I did what I'm doing now back then? Yeah, of course. But at the same time, I was young and I had a fucking great time doing it. So
yeah, that's a conversation I enjoy talking about a lot because I know there's a lot of controversy and a lot of discussions. You kind of hear a lot of bro science versus science heads debates regarding that training style. And I always am really intrigued and excited to hear like these conversations on like Fuad's podcast whenever they're discussing how they feel like just training really heavy in that style where you're really trying to progressive overload through weight creates this almost like more dense grainy look. Now that sounds as bro science as it could possibly be, but when it comes to looks of a physique, like we discussed with like how our legs seem to just look smaller through all these different situations that we were in. I mean, you know, most of the things that we have here is empirical data and anecdotal evidence. So when it comes to the grainy thing, it's hard to say, but I think there is something, I think there's something like pretty valuable to derive from that when it comes to just trying to lift heavy and progress. Because in my personal opinion, the whole Dr. Mike type of training, Jared hates it whenever we all call it methodologies, because he's like, I'm literally fucking just teaching science. But I just think there's so much improvement that a lot of bodybuilders can make by focusing on the doing stretch mediated hypertrophy. I think there's just so much more tension and load that is placed. There's so much more tension that's placed on the specific muscle you're trying to train without having a total load on your body, which obviously decreases your fatigue over time, you know, and the level of effect on your CNS. And this is something I personally realize has made a massive difference in my legs. Like my legs have blown up in the last 2 years, the most out of anything else in my body. And that's because now I'm no longer going to the squat rack to rep out 4 plates for 8 or 10 reps as hard as I can. Instead, I'm focusing on doing a full stretch on the leg press, doing a full stretch as a slow eccentric on the leg extension with stretch mediated hypertrophy methods, you know, like leaning back, making sure that my knees are as in flexion as possible. And these things have all contributed to me feeling less fatigue over time, but just so much more stimulus in the muscle I'm trying to train.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
I think that's super important. But then on the other side, there's a lot of science-based guys that are just focusing so much on that I notice they don't really focus as much on going to failure or even past failure in the times where it is beneficial for you.
I think it kind of kills the argument. It's like if you take one person who only trains, like, let's say optimally, right, but they have fuck all intensity because they're so worried about their form, they're not going to grow a whole lot. Whereas if you then take the opposite extreme, someone who's only worried about intensity, like maybe I was when I was like 17, 18, training really fucking hard, range of motion is not the best, they're still going to grow more than the person who's training with like zero intensity and perfect range of motion. But it's not black and white. You can just do both. Like if you take that perfect range of motion and then apply that intensity, I feel like it's a winning combination. You can't really go wrong with that. But it's difficult to do. Obviously, I hate to say it's a skill, but it's a little bit of a skill in terms of being able to do that whilst also pushing yourself to failure. But when you can do that, like as you know, you said there with your legs, like you're gonna blow up because you're doing everything science says you should do to build muscle, and you do it to failure with intensity, which a lot of people struggle with because nobody actually knows what their true failure is. Everyone thinks they do, but they don't really. But when you can get that, that's when you're going to grow the most, I feel. And that's what I learned this off season. You see it with everybody. When they finally learn how to do that, it's like bang, they just go. Yeah,
totally agree. Did you hear that? Did you hear that conversation, that little debate on Foods podcast about skill, about bodybuilding being a skill?
The never-ending debate.
It's so funny. Shit. Yeah, I know it's kind of hard to call it a skill, but honestly, the training portion for sure, 100% is a skill that you have to acquire, and then everything else in bodybuilding is not. For sure.
No, it's just fucking
except for the posing. The posing's pretty sick, but
but posing is just like fucking dancing. If you're gonna call dancing a skill, which it is, I guess posing is then as well. So
yeah,
for sure.
But I've noticed for me too, though, even like after training for 15 plus years, it's still hard to get to the place where you're like perfect form, stretch, protecting your joints, and also going as heavy as possible. It's still fucking difficult. But I've noticed that for me personally, it's been easier. I don't know if you have any methods that you've incorporated for yourself, but for me personally, I've noticed that for most of my sets, I will focus on perfect form, slow eccentrics, stretch, time under tension, all the things necessary. But for the first couple sets, as I work up to my max set where I try to PR and weight, by the time I hit my PR, there's this comfortable amount of like swing and like form breaking that isn't too crazy where it's out of control, but just a comfortable amount that I can hit every single time that I try to PR on my weight. So it's like every time I PR on something like a leg press or a chest press, whatever it is, it's like that PR set and maybe the one before it that's working up to that are the two sets that I can break form a little bit, and I can go hard and try to make sure that I'm PRing for the sake of hitting a higher number, hitting, increasing my strength. And then the rest of the workout and the rest of the sets, I'm focusing purely on engaging the muscle group and not letting my ego get the better
I
of me.
agree.
And it's been so beneficial.
Yeah, because you find you have that top set where you're still almost overdoing it on the intensity a little bit to make sure you've got it. And then you tick that box. It's then like the back off set. You can almost focus a little bit more on the other extreme where it's like, make sure you're getting maximum fucking stretch and you're just spending as much time in that, lengthened position, rinsing it for everything it's worth. And you then, after you step away from that exercise, you've literally hit both to their extreme and done them both. And it's like learning that balance is what's difficult, because, it probably took you time to get to that point where you knew how much, not momentum, but how much like movement was enough to get the intensity without detracting from the range of motion.
Yeah.
And it's trying to explain that to somebody who's like brand new in the gym is like fucking impossible. They've just got to learn it as they go.
Mm-hmm. If you feel like any of the medications that we spoke about today may benefit you, such as BPC 157, GH secretagogues such as Tesamorelin, IGF1, oxandrolone troche, Semaglutide, then you can obtain these from Trensparent HRT, and the link for that will be in the bio. If you testosterone such as depression, anxiety, lack of motivation, as well as lack of sex drive, then you can get this checked out as well by getting your blood work done at Transcend, and they will provide you expert medical analysis. Transcend HRT has worked with many professional bodybuilders and pro athletes such as Thor Bjornsson, Phil Heath, and Jeremy Buendia. And if you feel like this podcast has any relevancy to you, I do believe that this clinic will provide of great benefit to you as well. I know this is kind of a weird question, but have you happened to find like a certain rep range work for you? Or do you feel like...
It's hard. I think I used to do more 6 to 8 for a top set, but this last offset I sort of found that's too low. I don't really like to go anywhere below 8 now. Anywhere probably 10 to 12 is like, especially now in prep, is definitely the sweet spot for me. 10 to 12 and then, 15-ish maybe on the back off is what I've got a lot more from. Probably around there.
It's kind of how
depends on the exercise, but generally you can.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever feel like, have you ever felt like you have genetics to be strong, or like if you wanted to be a powerlifter, you might be good at it?
Probably, yeah. Certainly, especially when I was younger. But I don't have any like passion for that anymore. I think I just snap in half or injure myself or something. And it's so I think I probably could. I did get quite strong, but it was almost then became detrimental to bodybuilding to be that strong, because it's like every set would take 20 minutes to work up to the top set. You do the top set and it's like you just fucked after like doing a set of hack squat. Had like I think I've done 8 plates on the original Mark Horton Cybex, which is fast. That's fucked. I'm doing that now my quads would tear for sure. And it built big legs for the time being, but I don't think it was the best way to do it for bodybuilding, and certainly not longevity wise. Like if I was doing that at 20, like when I'm 30, what the fuck I'm meant to do?
Oh yeah.
So it's like at some point I had to kind of transition away from that. And I think Nick Walker spoke about that before as well, because I think he was crazy strong at one point and he then transitioned more to, I think he does work with Jared now and does a very different style of training to what he used to, just because he got to the point where his physique, it wasn't going to be beneficial for his physique or his career to carry on training the way he did, because there was nowhere to go.
Right.
And so making that switch is kind of what I've learned to go through, not quite to the same degree, to like that same extreme, but eventually, potentially, like I might do the exact same. I'm keen to see more of like Mike and Jared's stuff, and next office I probably might even reach out to Jared and just get him to take over everything, just to, because I just love this shit at the end of the day as well. I just want to experience different things and try different things, and I am my own experiment at times. And I've always done my own training. So even with my coach now, it's like we discuss it, but it's like I do my own training. I just let him know what I'm doing, and he's like, sound. And even with like food, he just sets macros, and I just send him my meal plan. And he's like, yeah, all good.
Nice.
Or change this, but we've worked together for so long, we're just happy. We know how it goes. Food doesn't change. Obviously, it's still the same meals. Obviously, it's not prep. It's just different quantities now. So it's been that way for years.
Yeah, dude, I think you should definitely reach out to Jared because my best training session. I actually said this on hopefully the podcast with Kyle and Jared that I'm hopefully going to post by tomorrow. But Jared and Dr. Mike put me through this workout, and it was just the best hour-long chest workout I've ever had in my entire life. And I was sore for like 4 days afterwards. Just fucking blew my mind, which is crazy because it's like you would think, oh, maybe more volume is going to induce some kind of stimulus like that. But no, it was simply just the training style that we incorporated. Whether or not the soreness is a better signification of just the stimulus to grow, I don't know, but it fucking felt like it, you know? And also
fucking fascinates me.
Felt a lot better for my joints too. And I think that's the most important part is because as I get older and older and older, I keep getting more and more injuries. Like I have this femaculacetular it's the longest word. It's basically a form of hip. It's a form of hip impingement. It's called the shortcut is FAI, and then different shoulder impingements. And it's like, these are things that like, if I don't work on mobility, if I don't work on lessening any potential stimulus to injuring it further through my range of motion with a lot of load, and if I don't focus on doing some kind of like therapy and like stretching mobility exercises, then I'm probably going to have to get some like a hip. I'm probably going to have surgery or like a hip replacement or something crazy in the future. So, I mean, it's like at this point, what's the point in just driving yourself with crazy loads if it's going to hurt your long term and you just don't know how your body's going to react 5 years from now? Yeah, no, absolutely.
So yeah, definitely we should be keen. I'll need you to put me in contact with Jared for the off season.
Have you guys ever
link
spoke?
Up? Never spoke to either of them. No, I'll just watch all their stuff and just fucking fanboy. So
that's awesome, bro. He's gonna, he'll love to be in contact with you because I'm sure, he's a fan he's a huge fan of bodybuilding, and I know he's gonna think. I know he probably does think right now that your physique is absolutely fucking nuts.
That'd be sick, yeah.
What do you feel like has given you the most anxiety in your journey up till now? Just everything included, even things that people don't discuss very often.
Such a big question. I don't know. Different things at every different point, I guess. Like, because like my first prep, I was still in sixth form, which is like college, I guess, A levels. So it's like doing that. I was working night shifts at the supermarket whilst trying to prep, whilst trying to do my A levels. It's like the biggest stress wasn't prep at that time. It was fucking night shifts and A levels. Prep was the fun part, the distraction. And then fast forward to now, this prep, it's like, if you think about it, it's like with this pressure, I think right now it's not pressure from sponsors, but it's like these guys, like people just see sponsors of brands, right? People just think ESN is like an entity, pay me. But it's like, there's people behind this brand who I've got a really good personal relationship with, who I really like, and they really want the best for me and support me. And it's like, it's not pressure from them, but it's me not wanting to let them down is almost probably the biggest pressure on me, not the pressure I put on myself, because it's what I said earlier, I'm confident in my own ability to do everything in my power to bring my best. And if that's not good enough, I have the self-awareness to know that somebody was just better than me, and I can't be upset at that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to let these people down who are investing in me, who are supporting me. Same for followers and guys who, you know, even like yourself, giving me this opportunity to come on here and, you know, have that platform is massively appreciated. And I don't want to do this and then almost underperform to, you know, reflect poorly on your podcast to a degree. It's like that sort of stuff this time around has probably been the biggest pressure, anxiety causer. But in the same breath, it's what Chris has always said. It's like pressure is a privilege. You know, I'd rather feel this pressure and have this opportunity to be on this podcast than not be on it at all and just prep. So it's looking at it through that perspective. It doesn't relieve it, but certainly helps. So yeah, I think right now that's probably it. Other preps, it's always been whatever's going on at the time. So I can't really remember because I actually remember the positives, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, man. I think that's a really good perspective because just the entire existence of bodybuilding is the weirdest thing to me, and how much we love it. But I think out of everything in my life, the weird thing is, I think because I care the most about it, so many aspects of it give me the most anxiety. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things I want to ask, but honestly, if you're down, let's just jump to the Q&A. And
yeah,
I'm
fire away, like, take time. I'm good for a few more, whatever. I'm feeling good. I'm enjoying it. So
awesome.
You want.
Hell yeah. Cool. Pretty M5 asked, why pick this sport?
That's a good question. I kind of just fell into it and loved it, and then was able to make it a career. So I guess, I don't know if I don't want to say it chose me because that's fucking cliche as shit, but like I loved it. I did it and then was able to monetize it. So here we are. Why would I not do it? Because I love it. So I don't know. Yeah, I just fell in love with it, I guess. How much
of like that content were you watching? So you said you got injured like around the age of 16?
Yeah, like 15, 16 is when I started. And purely just going to the gym.
I'm assuming that's when you were still like living with your family at the time, maybe?
Yeah, I was still living home. I was still doing GCSEs at the time. I was young. Mm-hmm. So like everything, every day was just always David Lay. Like that was when he was like, I don't want to say prime, but that's when it was like peak OG David Lay, should we say. And that whole scene at the time was like, that was when I think fitness YouTube was really like its biggest almost, from certainly my perspective anyway, because that's the time I was like, reflect back on nostalgically. But yeah, everything I was watching, everything I was doing was just watching that, buying someone's program, trying it out at the gym with my mates, and it was just such a hobby. It was like all my mates at the time, it wasn't like, oh, let's just go out all the time. It wasn't like, you know, certain groups of people, they just live for the weekend just to go out drinking. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, we were just waiting for school to finish so that we could go to the gym and just train arms every day and warm up max deadlift every day. Like, that was the fucking all we spoke about all day. It's like, oh, what are you training tonight? Yeah. And it's like, warm up max deadlift again? It's like, yeah. It's like, I do 3 plates the day before and then just can't work out why I can't do 3 plates again, even though I just did it yesterday. But it's like, I'm fatigued as fuck. I'm not on a rest day for 3 weeks. But I didn't know that at the time. So yeah, that was just it.
Is there you mentioned Ryan Terry was someone that you really enjoyed watching. What else kind of got you into the space of competing? I know you kind of just decided to do a show 16, 17 years old, but like what kind of really sparked to that for you?
I think from memory, I was just watching Ryan, and I knew that he had been to Olympian. I knew he was an IFBB Pro. Mm-hmm. And I remember Googling, like I was on the bus on the way back from the gym and I'm like, how to turn IFBB Pro. And in the UK, it was like, you have to compete with this federation called Two Bros and win a show there. And it was like, look at all that. And I was looking at like a picture of the guys that were winning these shows. And I was like, because I was naturally 16 at the time, I was like, fucking hell, they're huge. So then it was like, right, if I want to compete. And as I said earlier, like I touched on it briefly, I moved from the south of England to the north of England. Because my dad moved, and I moved up with him, and it was just before, like, he moved at pretty much the start of summer, so we all moved up there just as I finished my GCSEs. So I was just up there for summer, didn't know anybody in the area, had nothing else to do, and was just like, might as well just prep for a show. I've got nothing else going on. Might as well just do it and see. Gives me something to do. So that was it. And then ended up meeting Danny, who then went on to be my best mate and still is, like, because he was on prep at the time, he'd competed before. So then he took over and I was, training with him. He was helping me for the show. Did that first season and just fucking loved it. And then it just kind of spiraled and continued from there and snowballed. So yeah, I sort of watched Ryan do it, Googled natural bodybuilding show, and then just edited it and went for it. And then the rest was just kind of like one thing after another just led to it. And progressed through.
Yeah. How many shows did you do in total so far?
15. I've done like
15.
quite a few, but majority were like different federations to NPC/IFBB. They were just much smaller, much worse, like junior men's physique. Did like junior men's physique at the Arnold 1 year and open. I've done like amateur Olympias in Italy in men's physique. And then it was 2022 was the first year I tried classic. So I did men's physique and classic physique at a pro qualifier. Still placed slightly higher in men's physique that year because I had like quite a good men's physique front shot, but my back was so fucking shit. And it's because men's physique was only 2 poses. It's like I'd always be, near the top of my class from the front. Then you'd face the back and it'd be like, yeah, fucking get out of the center. So it was like after that season, it was pretty clear because I did have quite good legs. It was like,
Yeah.
if I'm ever going to turn pro, it's, you look at men's physique, it's 2 poses. I'm always losing one of them. You're not going to turn pro. Whereas classic physique, there's like 7 or 9 poses. It's like, sure, I may lose the back shots. But if I win every other one, I can still mathematically then turn pro. So that was the natural progression. And it just very quickly developed. The physique definitely grew into classic, and I suited that much more than the very next year after doing 1 full off season 4 classic. I did 1 regional show, 1 the overall, 1 pro qualifier and 1 the overall, and that was it.
Gotcha.
So
I see. That's fucking shocking to me because I feel like your back looks fucking sick. Not to mention like the shape and like how massive your lats are, bro. It's just ridiculous.
It's just, I think it's just the density. I think it may be good enough now, and I may be being too hard on myself because I think we always are going to be hard on ourselves. And I think the minute if I was sat here thinking my back was great, I probably wouldn't be training my back as hard. And then eventually it wouldn't be great because other people are training hard and get better than me. So
100%
I think to always be hard on myself is probably a fucking good thing. But I may step on stage this year and it may be a lot better than I think. If it is, fantastic. I don't mind. I shit myself all prep because it was still good in the end. But I think it's still going to just lack density and it needs more muscle and detail to be a pro level back. But it's come up a hell of a lot since the amateur ones. So, it's definitely progressing. But I think it still probably needs a bit more time.
Have lats always been a strength for you, like ever since the beginning? Or is that something like maybe you worked on a little bit more, focused more on as you were competing in men's physique, maybe as you transitioned to classic?
They definitely grew a lot. They were always quite good in men's physique. My front shot, that's why my front shot was so good because I had the small waist and the sort of flare in lats. From the
How small is your waist, by the way? Do you know?
Not small enough. No, I don't know.
What?
Probably like 27, 28 if I pull a vacuum. Something like
that's
that. Probably.
Tiny.
It's in the off season it's not tiny. 254 it certainly wasn't down there, but right now I think it's somewhere like that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Sorry I interrupted you though. You were saying about your lats, like it grew a lot, right?
Yeah, I think they've got certainly a lot thicker since I'll be able to isolate them and actually connect with them and, do that full stretch and, single arm lat pull down, that sort of stuff. Like that hasn't worked massively well for them. So from the front, they've always been strong, but I think they've always been aided by the fact my waist is so small that they then look bigger in comparison.
Gotcha. Is that like your favorite exercise to do for lats, or are there any other exercises that you feel like
so like every single pull session, it will be start with some form of single arm or vertical lat work whilst they're fresh, whilst I can drive a really good connection to them. Fatigue those first, then go into the heavier bent over rows after.
I love that. That's really dope. Yeah. My issue is my single arms have always been the best way to grow my lats. So people would always ask me how I grew my lats. And in my honest opinion, I'd say, honestly, it's really just genetics. But I have really like mentally focused a lot on growing my lats ever since I was young. Cause the first coach I ever had would literally tell all of us athletes, lats. That's the most important thing for you. I don't know. That was just his perspective. Maybe it's because he trained a lot of men's physique athletes. I was about to spill some men's physique athletes and I don't want to put anyone on blast. So, the single arm work was always the best for me and for, I think, a lot of the athletes there too. And I think it's just because I don't really know why, to be honest. I can't explain if it's because of the range of motion or the focus.
I think probably just because of the arm path that you can really focus on. Because like if you're doing like a dual thing, you kind of get stuck here. Right. If you're doing single arm, it kind of allows you to open up, get that stretch, and then drive the elbow in and actually down to your pocket. Whereas if you're trying to do that like a neutral bar here, it's like people just can't do it. So they end up just leaning back and then just pulling to the upper back. But if you then get on a single arm, it's like it allows you to really drive that connection. And that's probably why people find it a little bit easier just mentally, because they can even like fucking touch their lat and feel it like a squeeze, I guess.
Yeah, it's 100% easier mentally. I think the only thing that I do as an alternative whenever I'm getting lazy and I don't want to do the single arm and alternate each one is, have you ever tried those hoist lat pull down machines? How do you feel about those?
I some of them I like. I think the fact they all move is stupid. It's a bit of a gimmick. But like the actual pathway for it is fantastic. And the resistance profile is fantastic. It's like, could you just not make it stationary? Because what you'll see with a lot of the hoist machines as well is people will get on it and then, they've got like little foot plates on the hoist machine. Yeah. They'll just like the press especially, they'll just put their feet on the floor and then push through the floor. And it's like, that is just giving you leverage to then move the machine. Because they're not using the hoist machine how the hoist machine's intended to be used. So then a lot of people just cheat with them as well. So I think, they look cool. I don't like moving in the set. It makes it harder for me to like stabilize. So I'd prefer like something else. But I know the single arm pull down or the dual arm pull down you can use it for as well. I know the one you're on about. I have used it. I use it. The resistance profile is really nice, and the size of the arm path.
Yeah. For the hoist pull down, I really do like the path. It just feels so much better for my personal structure as well. And unlike a normal lat pull down with a bar, my left shoulder doesn't pop when I'm using that. And I think it's just purely the path that it moves through. The swinging is a little weird. Kind of reminds me of the playground.
It's like those, those like body weight ones that you just find like the parks and shit. Yeah. Where it's like you use your own body weight to like move yourself. It's like them. That's what it reminds me of.
Oh shit. So you said you did 15 shows and you started off with some natural shows. If you don't mind me asking, like, was there any like what was the point in time that you realized for yourself, like, oh shit, like if I want to keep doing this, then the rest of the people I'm competing against are on PEDs, and that's probably something that I have to like accept.
That first natural show I did, it was basically like because this was the year of 2020, the year where everything was closed down. I don't know if I can say the word because I don't want your podcast to get flagged or anything, but it was that going on. So there wasn't a lot of shows on. And this was like the UK international final for this natural federation. So it was the biggest natural show there was in the UK at the time. And I was 17 or doing men's physique, won junior and then won the overall. So off the back of that, it's like, it's your first ever show. You've won the biggest natural show there is in the UK. Where do you go from here if you stay natural? Do you just win it again? That's not very fun for the next 15 years. So then I did the untested show the week after or 2 weeks after, beat assisted guys there. It's like, okay, very realistic. You've got the genetics. You've know that you can stick to a diet. You know you can prep because I was fucking peeled and you enjoy it. It's like, if you want to make a career from this, you're going to have to go assisted. And again, it goes back to what I said at the very start, where I was very, very fortunate to have met the people I did at the age I did, because you hear all these horror stories about first cycles and people doing idiotic shit because they just don't know any better, right? I was very lucky that I just knew, I did blood work first, all right? My first cycle was like 200 milligrams of testy, and that was it. And I grew a hell of a fucking lot with pretty much no side effects, quote unquote, like no side effects. And ever since, it's been so minimal that I've got the absolute most I could have out of as little as possible because of having the knowledge and the guidance from such a young age, and then being so obsessed with the sport as well that I'm like, all I do all day is listen to podcasts and watch different videos, and there's so much knowledge out there, like with J3U and all that sort of stuff is like, because I'm actually passionate about this, like I just love learning about it. And you just learn from people who have been there and made the fucking mistakes that you don't have to. And to have that all at such a young age and gone through all that, that's why I'm so fortunate and so content with the decision I did make at the time to when I did go assisted, that I wouldn't have go back and do it in any other way, because I truly believe I did it the best way I possibly could have. If I waited a few years, would it potentially have been better? Sure. But I wouldn't be where I am right now if I did that. So I wouldn't do it any other way. So yeah. I did that first season actually, and then after that was when I went to the dark side.
Yeah, bro, it's honestly really clear at fucking the ripe age of 22 years old of how much you've like encompassed yourself in like learning about bodybuilding, because I don't think there's very many people around your age that can really discuss these topics or really have this much focus on simply the minute details of something such as like literally how to like maintain the shape and what body part you want when you're going on your show, you know? And that obviously comes also with like the 15 shows of experience, but it's like these things, like there's people that compete with coaches that I've spoken to that don't have any clue about anything about bodybuilding, and they just listen to what the coach says. And then there's people like you, of course, too, that encompass themselves with these podcasts and with these teachers, and I don't know, people who create YouTube videos that have some good credible information that I think makes a big difference in the athlete. Because like, as my coach says, I already talked about this, so I guess it's revealed, but my coach is Patrick Tour, and as he states too, one of the things that makes me feel better that he expresses is like there's not very many logical bodybuilders out there, or at least it seems like there's a smaller percentage of logical athletes when it comes to the bodybuilding area, and it, in my opinion, can provide an athlete that can make really good decisions for his future, and thus obviously yield a much better potential future. And I think it's just important because you never really know. I mean, you've had a lot of experience with your coach, but there's a lot of people that, for example, they'll jump in with a coach and they don't know what's wrong or what's right, you know?
Yeah.
And they won't know what's right for them because, we got to tailor things for ourselves. So that's pretty dope. Also something that I like discussing though is a lot of people discuss doses, but I think it's been clear from all the experts I've talked to that it's just the time required to build the muscle mass, right? Like you can blast, I don't know, you can take 300 milligrams of test, or like some people, like you can try to just suddenly take open bodybuilder doses of 1.2 grams of test at once, or even more, see how fast you gain muscle. But in the long run, like how much more muscle will people really gain? Maybe 5 extra pounds instead of the 10 pounds that year. But for what cost, like if you want to become an open bodybuilder and you have 100 pounds of muscle to gain, and I can say this because Nick Walker is my height. However, he's 100 pounds more than me. He's 300 pounds at what fucking like an inch shorter than me.
That's crazy. That
would take me realistically probably 5 to 10 years of just straight muscle building. It's not 5 to 10 grams. It's 5 to 10 years.
It's a lot of food, mate. You get to bulk for a long time. You'll enjoy it. Go for it. Yeah. Fucking send it.
For real.
Message Patrick after this. Patrick, mate, we're fucking going to open. I'm not stopping until I'm 300 pounds.
That actually reminds me, one of the questions here is, what the fuck is it? Matt Jace asks, with you being so young and already close to your weight cap in Classic, do you think you'll ever move to Open?
I get asked this question so often. It's so hard to answer because I am so young, and like I never thought I'd leave men's physique, and now I'm in Classic. I think the honest answer is, if I can be a top 10 Classic guy, I will always do what I can to stay Classic. And if that means fucking, I don't think I know I'm not Chris Bumstead level where I can just fuck about for 3 months after the Olympia and then just not do anything and then get back on and start training again for the next Olympia, just so that he doesn't, grow too much. But they're obviously like, you look at like Urs, for example. Urs could so easily go to open, but he just, keeps food relatively low, keeps cardio in, and does all these things just to stay in classic. If I can get to the level where I am, a top 10 guy in classic, I would like to stay classic for a number of reasons. Is I love the division. I love the look. I like the fact it's a bit of a condition game. And I just do not have to push drugs that hard to, have this level of size to be in classic. Whereas if I was to go open, you have to push the envelope. I don't want to have to do that. I also don't, I think a lot of the health risks just come from body weight in general, of spending. I mean, me at 300 pounds is not healthy. I don't really want to ever be 300 pounds because I'm like at 240, 254. It was uncomfortable enough.
Yeah.
I love open. I'm a fan of it. I love training and I love eating. So put those things together. Sure. If I get to the top of the classic weight cap, I'm killing myself to make weight and I'm still not very competitive in classic at the level I want to be, it probably makes sense that, the natural progression, I'm going to have to go open because I'm not going to get anywhere in classic. I'm not winning shows in classic and I'm killing myself to make weight. If that ever becomes the case, then I'll go to open. But fingers crossed, that never does become the case. So if I can stay classic, I'll stay classic, but only if I can be competitive and be happy with that. And if I'm not happy with where I am in classic, then sure, I'll go to open.
KST Mario asks favorite pose to hit and why.
Favorite classic maybe is probably one of my favorite poses, or the 3/4 side try. But favourite pose to probably hit and hold is just a side chest because it's just fucking easy. And it's not you're not pulling a vacuum or anything. I can just sit in a side chest and actually catch my breath. But no, favourite looking pose to hit would probably be a favourite classic or 3/4 side try, yeah.
Which favorite classic is your favorite pose?
Probably a teacup.
Yeah.
Same with me,
but yours is savage, bro. It's a good pose on you, dude.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, which ones are the great poses for you. It's clear. That one in the front lat spread look fucking filthy. Filthy, dude.
Yeah. Thank you.
Joseba Ibarra asks the boy. He asks, what advice would you give to young aspiring bodybuilders?
It's so generic, isn't it? It's I would get a coach that is reputable and you can learn from, because otherwise you're just going to be wasting time making mistakes that have been made before. You don't need to do that. It depends how young as well, but don't fucking Maingain. If you actually want to build some muscle, do an off season, get comfortable being uncomfortable within reason, with guidance from an intelligent coach and a reputable coach. Just train fucking properly. Sounds easy to be said, but what we were speaking about earlier, find what works for you and then just do it. And it's going to take time. So don't try and rush it. Just love the process, enjoy the process for what it is. And a lot of young guys at the minute, I think they just do bodybuilding because they want to be on stage and they want, 100,000 followers and they just want that aspect. And it's you're never going to get to the point where you've got that aspect because it takes so long to get there. Yes, I'm only 22, but I've done 15 shows. I've been bodybuilding for 5 years. 3.5, 4 of those years, I was just doing it for me. And there was nothing, there was no return on it. It was so fucking expensive and it was so demanding and draining on everything else in my life. But I was doing it just because I fucking loved it. And I still would do it even now. If I was still in that same position, I'd still be doing this because I just fucking love it. Whereas a lot of people nowadays, I feel, do it just because they think the end goal is what they want and they'll just get there really quick, but you won't. So just do it because you love the fucking process and then fall in love with that aspect and focus on that aspect. And then the rest is going to come after doing that for years. Yeah,
that's good advice. I think the 100% most important thing for people to remember, of course, like you said, along with the process is I think people tend to forget that the ones that do want to focus on getting the followers or the audience, it doesn't come from you getting the pro card. It doesn't come from you getting the title. These are forms of credibility and they do help, but they're not things that are going to jump your following. There's a lot of people with pro cards that are successful that have zero following because they don't understand how to present themselves. They don't understand how to provide value in ways that resonate with their audience. You got to focus more on who do you want to be and what do you want to present yourself as and what value you want to give during the process of you becoming that Olympian or whatever, you know,
for sure.
And then by the time you reach there, all the people that are supporting you are going to fucking explode. You'll explode extra, kind of like C-Bum. But like you look at someone like C-Bum, bro, this guy was so good at his content from the very beginning, man. Chris, the best YouTube videos, the way he even presented his physique before he became Mr. Olympia on his Instagram from his videos were awesome. They looked phenomenal, made people get really excited about his potential, you know, like the way you post your workout videos and like the reels that you have are fucking awesome, man. The posing, it's fucking epic. And then Sam Sulek, for example, finally did his first competition,
like
you know,
prime example, isn't he? He's like, he did it the opposite way around to what most people think. It's like people think, oh, you've got to get on stage and do it all first to get them the following. He's like one of the most popular guys, and he was just a guy filming his stuff, providing value through authenticity. That was all it was. Yeah. And you see what that transitioned into. So it's like,
and also along the lines of the advice, I like what you said there. I think that all goes in line with something that you clearly have done for yourself, which is educate yourself. And I think that's probably one of the most important things that someone can do for themselves, because just like you said, helps you make sure you don't make mistakes, make sure you know how to train properly. My mistake when I was training is I always went too hard, went to failure in every set, and didn't eat enough calories. So where did that all go? To fucking nothing but my CNS. So you figure that stuff up beforehand, and then you don't have to make those mistakes, and you have a more productive 5 years than I did. Cal Muller asks tips for digestion.
That's a good question. A digestive enzyme. I've raved on about these for fucking years now. Regardless of brands, regardless of sponsors, I think generally speaking, with a digestive enzyme, you get what you pay for. All right, if you go on Amazon, you get a cheap one. It's not going to be good. Yeah, the ones with a high price point, typically they are actually just going to be better, generally speaking. But yeah, digestive enzyme, I think for the off season, that's one of the things that made the biggest difference for me being able to eat, because everything just was so much better. Obvious, but food sources, and you know, to really dumb it down, like if you are a young guy who just thinks, oh, I need a big off season, I'm not going to Maingain, I'm going to push it, and then just start eating Costco muffins. It's like, sure, calories are really high, but if you eat one Costco muffin, it's not going to digest very quickly because of the high fats and everything like that. You're not going to be hungry for hours after eating one of those. Whereas if you ate the same calories from a chicken and rice, sure, eating that one meal may be a little bit more challenging because it's slightly higher in volume, but 2 hours after, that shit's digested, you're hungry again, you're able to eat another one and another one. And then by the end of the day, you've got way more food in, it's all digested, been utilized, uptaken way more efficiently. It's way better sources of food, so it's going to lead to way more growth, and your digestion sound, and it's just infinitely better. So food sources, quality food sources, meal timings, and then also just expenditure on top of that. Like if you just hit your step count, sounds so obvious, but like try and do an off season where you're doing like 3,000 steps a day and trying to put away 5,000 calories, and then do an off season where you're doing 10k steps a day and putting away 5,000 calories. Literally 10k steps. It sounds so simple, yet will make such a difference.
Such a difference. Crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's wild. So general expenditure, a digestive enzyme, and make sure the sources of food you're eating are clean and work for your body you can digest well, and you'll be fucking sound.
Yeah. I don't say this very often, but I won my pro card by going to raves, so it was very helpful. Getting your steps in.
30k steps in.
Learned that from John Jewett, you know, steps, slower fatigue during your prep.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'd say if you guys want to get your digestion good, you know, maybe just eat some pizza and Taco Bell once a month. Really builds a tolerance for your system, you know. Food variety.
Pizza is good. Half my physique has been built on pizza, so I can't fault it.
Some good tips. Yeah, listen to Austin Stout for like some specifics if you guys are curious. Have you ever listened to Austin Stout's stuff?
I've not, no. I might have done, but I can't remember.
Yeah, you should check him out. He's fucking awesome, man. We're gonna have a second podcast soon, but he's who lots of the coaches and bodybuilders I look up to have all learned from him or had him as a coach, which is super fucking cool. And the proponent of his education that I think is the most important. Like you listen to like people go to like Milos for insulin, for example. people tend to go to Austin Stout when it comes to digestion and GI health for bodybuilding. He just knows so much about it. So like Kyle Wilkes has listened to a lot of his education stuff. Terrence Ruffin was coached by Austin for a period of time. There's just like a lot of people that I know that have looked up to Austin. So
yeah, sick.
Very smart guy. I hope you're okay with this podcast of us just blowing up your head, but there's like 3 people that are saying that like no question, but you could be the next Sebum.
It's such a compliment. It's such a compliment, but I disagree so fucking strongly when people say it, because it's like there is no next Sebum. That's just not a thing. It's not a possibility, right? Yeah. It's Chris is Chris. You cannot replicate that, no matter who you are, how much you want to. It's not going to happen. Like Chris isn't the next Arnold. Chris was the next Chris. Arnold was never replicated. Chris will never be replicated. Like. Yep. I may become me eventually, and like that may be fantastic. Will it ever be Chris's level? Let's be realistic. No. It's very flattering that people think there's the potential there to be that, but it's being realistic. It's nobody's filling those boots. It's not possible. But I appreciate the sentiment that's given with that. It's like a serious compliment, the biggest compliment you can get in this sport. So I'm very grateful for it. But let's be honest, it's not possible, guys.
Fucking sick. Yeah, I remember, Stefan NFC, I think he had a comment on one of his posts too. Someone was saying something like that, and he responded in the same way. He was like, honestly, man, like, I think a comment like this could really hurt me more than help me because of the things you discussed, whatever. For sure. But, making sure that he still understands that he has so many places to grow. But it's a good perspective to have, because that's one that I have to... It's one that I ingrain and remind myself every day, that I release all expectations. The saying expectations is suffering. It's something that I kind of hold very close and true, because it really helps me relieve my pressure on the goal and rather focus more on the process. And also helps me whenever it took me 9 shows to turn pro. So and it was 5 nationals. So for 3 nationals in a row, I was getting 16th plus place. And when you really hope that you get your pro card, there's really nothing more depressing than getting literally not placed,
Yeah, for sure.
So I think releasing the expectations, but just focusing to a better you has been the best mindset for my personal self.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Daltz Tomlin asks, what is there to do it? Rotherham apart from Ultraflex?
So, yeah, it's a good question, mate. There's not a lot. So it's where I live. A place in the UK is called Rotherham. It's not the nicest, but it's an interesting place. So I literally moved here for this gym. So I moved out from my parents. And I used to commute here. I used to drive an hour and a half to this gym and then drive an hour and a half home back to my parents. Did that for a while. And it was actually about 6 weeks out, last prep, that I just thought, fuck this drive. I'm just going to rent a house in Rotherham. So I'm next to the gym. And I've been here since. There is literally nothing here apart from this gym. I don't want to say it is a shithole. It is a complete shithole, this, around here. But for me, it's fucking fantastic, right? Because the rent's pretty cheap, for what I get. I've got a full fucking 4-bed family house for, a really decent price. If I went to, Manchester or London, I'd be paying this for, a 1-bed studio apartment or whatever. So it's great. Get loads of space, decent price, right? Everything's pretty cheap. Fucking supermarkets and that's pretty cheap. I don't do anything except sit in my house, work from my computer, and then go to the gym. And there's a fucking phenomenal gym. So, best gym in the UK. So, this is great for me. But yeah, people come from Europe and stuff to Rotherham just to go to this gym. And then they're experienced in the UK. But there's one hotel in Rotherham and then a big Tesco, which is a big supermarket, a Walmart. That's fucking it.
Yeah,
there's a store and there's a gym. So
fucking
a lot of knife crime.
A lot of knife crime is crazy.
A lot of knife crime.
Shit. Dude, 100 times have I heard literally the best bodybuilders are created by literally having nothing to do.
Well, I don't think we want anything to do. I think we just want to eat our meals, live in a box, and go to the gym. We're all like me especially. I am so massively introverted, like probably on a spectrum somewhere, because I can spend time by myself and have no issues with it. Like, I absolutely do not mind it. It does not bother me. In fact, I probably prefer it 99% of the time. So just being by myself, training, doing work, eating my meals, watching some YouTube, watching some podcasts, that's me. I'm sorted. Happy life. So I think that's probably the case for most bodybuilders, because it is such like, it's not a team sport. It is and it isn't. Like, you know, there's a lot of camaraderie because everybody's fucking sound in this industry for the most part. Like, everybody's class. But at the end of the day, it's you eating the meals, it's you training, and it's you doing the recovery. Like, it's a 24/7 sport, and it's always you that's doing that a lot of the time by yourself. So it's like, if you're not comfortable by yourself, if you're not a little bit introverted, it's probably you just don't end up falling into the sport and loving it as much as we do, because we are so introverted. Right.
Yeah. And I think along with that, it's kind of undervalued just how important it is to be in a low stress state, and like remain in that parasympathetic state. And like, as John Jode has expressed, you know, your total allostatic load is increased and affected by, like your mental stresses, the things that are going on in your daily life, how much you're active throughout the day, probably what PEDs you're on or whatever other things are causing stresses and inflammation to your system. All of these things are, you know, how much cardio you're doing, all these things are just compounding to a level to where it's like, you know, you only have so much that you can take. So if you're someone that doesn't have to have a million things to do during the day, you're probably going to fare a lot better than other bodybuilders, both off season and on prep.
Yeah, for sure.
Dafy asks, how often do you train arms?
Not enough, looking at my current checking photos. Like, what is it? I do push and arms, so once. I do an arm day twice. 4 times a week, basically 4 times every 8 days, I'll hit either bicep or tricep or both. 2 full arm days and then 1 day bicep, tricep. So the bicep 3 times a week, tricep 3 times a week. Just spread out, so there's frequency there.
Oh, okay. Like, basically, are you saying like this is part of like when you're doing like a chest workout, like the engagement you have on your triceps is counted as one of those times?
No, because I effectively, like, without going into too much detail, my split's push, pull, legs, rest, push, pull, legs, rest.
Yep.
Except it's push and arms, then a full back day, because I just want a full day on my back. And then it's arms and quads, just so I get that slight boost in quad frequency, rest, push, pull, legs. So the push and the pull, the second rotation, the push and pull, it's like biceps on back day, triceps on push day. But then on that first rotation, I've got 2 full arm sessions, basically.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's just a bougier push pull legs for my physique, basically. It's all it is.
Have you always had like a good level of frequency for your arms, or is this something and like, has arms been something difficult for you to grow?
They've always grown quite easily, I want to say, especially when I was younger, but that's just because I used to train arms every day. So obviously they were going to grow more than like legs, because I wasn't training my legs anywhere near as much. I think similar to my quads, when I got really heavily into like a push-pull legs, like top set, back off set, really heavy lifting, they probably suffered there because I was just so fucked by the end of the session and I was only doing 2 sets or 3 sets for each. They were probably not progressed at the rate other things were, so then they maybe started to lack a little bit. Recognised that last prep, and then in the off season certainly increased a little bit, and especially going into this prep, then it's stepped up again. So I think they are balanced for my physique, but I think they certainly, when I was doing push-pull legs with the heavier load, they were neglected a little bit. But I think because they genetically like were sound, I got away with it. But I think somebody else on my split training that I did may not have.
Okay, gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Novakin. Sounds like Skyrim. Novakin asks, so what cycles are the most effective for you that you've personally liked?
Probably low test would be like I turn pro on 300 milligrams a test. Even now my test is at 350, I think. Just because if I aromatize quite easily, so if I push it higher, estrogen starts to skyrocket, then you've got to use AIs and it doesn't get pretty. So low to moderate test. It's moderate for me. It's probably low for most people at my level. And then just DHTs. So Mastron and Primo, combination of the two, normally 50-50 ratio. Typically that's it. That's been my off seasons. That's my preps. Orals may come in right at the end, final 2 to 3 weeks. But use those for sort of as minimal time as possible just to get that cosmetic effect without the heavy exposure to sort of, the toxic side effects from those. But yeah, like a test base, should we say, and then higher DHTs, a higher level with a Mastron and Primo. Never been a big fan of Decas and Nandrolones and all of that. Trend towards the end of preps if it's necessary. Never run it over 150. Again, you then run mate. I like, just because I do aromatize quite quick, like quite easily. If like a 90 not were to go higher, and then I was to run into prolactin issues, then obviously the number of sites for estrogen to bind to is going to, could cause more gyno and issues there. So I don't like to push that too high. So yeah, for me, it's literally test, Mass Primo. That's my favorite.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I've known a couple people that also feel, well, actually quite a few people that feel better that way. I can't remember if John Jewett's one of them, but I know I also had a convo with Darren Farrell, who is Ireland's first Olympian. And he has a even crazier ratio where he does like test at like 200, but then he takes like Primo or Mass at like 1,200 or like basically a gram or something. An either crazier ratio, and his estrogen lands in the high end of the normal range for most people on your blood work. So it's fucking nuts, man. Because for me, for example, I need to have my test 100 more than my DHT, and I don't aromatize nearly as much. So it's fucking so cool to hear how different everybody is. Like it's just a crazy drastic difference that I ever would have assumed.
Yeah, that's the point for everyone to take as well. It's like, that works for me. Somebody else may go and run that and they'd feel like shit because they're each through the floor.
Shit, bro.
So it's like, just because I've said that and I look the way I do doesn't mean go and just fucking run that. Because
definitely
look at your own blood work and work it out for yourself.
Yeah, 1,000%. What do you think have been the main keys to your back development in terms of adding mass? You kind of talked about this actually.
Yeah, what we spoke about earlier, the sort of just credit to Mikey's return of Jared Feather. We'll just give them all credit, even though I never spoke to them. But, watching their stuff.
Yeah. What do you feel like, Tiger Lucian asks, what do you feel like you need to get to the Olympia or to go to Olympia?
A first place at a pro show. And an invite. No, I don't know. A weak lineup and a lucky win. No, I don't know. I think I just keep rattling off like a better physique is what I need. I don't know. What do you mean? Like I need I need to get on stage and have a physique.
Did you get feedback from your judges in the last show?
Not at the. Not like I remember. I think, no, I don't think I did because I wasn't. Okay. I was just buzzing to have turned pro and I knew that I needed a year and a half out anyway. It's like, I was pretty realistic. Like, we're all very analytical, especially myself. I could look at my physique at the time and know that the judges are going to say, you need to get way bigger everywhere, you need to get leaner everywhere, and you need to do this. I think when you get to the higher ranks of the pro placings, and especially this season now where I may be only 5 pounds under my weight cap. It's like I've got 5 to 8 pounds maybe of weight I can put on. I need to be very specific where I put that on. So I want to ask Tyler and these other people where they want me to put it. I think it becomes more useful the more developed you get.
100%.
And even like feedback on posing and everything like that, I think, yes. So I think it'd be more imperative because I think looking back at when I turned pro, I can look at that and tear it to shreds. So, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, they would, I mean, like no knock on any judges or anything, but most of the time you hear some kind of feedback from like, the show that you turn pro, and they're always going to just say, get bigger all over.
Yeah, there's so many people on stage and it's like, yeah, you're so, if I was there, like, I'm asking them, what do I need to do to be a good pro? It's like, you've only just got a pro card. You still have an amateur physique. Everything. You need to do everything more. It's like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. They freaking told Mike Sommerfeld, this last show that he needs to improve his chest. I'm kind of shook by that, to be honest. I'm kind of fucking shook by that, to be honest. But I guess if you're really pinpointing on how to get literally the perfect physique.
I mean, yeah, but like what else does he need to do?
Yeah, I know, for real.
So it's like, yeah, like I think that peak was one of the most perfect peaks I've seen. Like, that was such a polished, refined look. I don't think he could have, in terms of speaking about a peak week specifically, I don't think he could have peaked that any better. Like, similar to Keon as well that year. It's like, I don't think Keon could have been any sharper or drier. No. Like, you see all these debates at the minute. It's like, is Keon pound for pound the best bodybuilder in the world? It's like, it's hard to make an argument against him, because where you can pick, like, Samson's bigger, yes, but Samson doesn't have the condition and detail that Keon has.
Right.
And pound for pound, Keon might be as big as Samson is, like, height to weight ratio. So therefore, if we're going pound for pound, Keon, technically based off bodybuilding criteria, could be the best. That's probably quite controversial to say, but massive fan of both their physiques. But like, I love condition, and Keon's, like, when that specific video where he just hits his back relaxed, flexes his glutes, and he just like nods because he just knows he's the shit. He just like knows that was like, sick, he hits it. He's just like, that's lights out. He just knows. It's like, he must have known that peak was perfect. He must have felt good, like, pumping up backstage, because he just hit it and was just like, yeah, fuck everyone, I've won this shot. It was sick. So
it was insane, bro. It was literally no competition.
No, it's wild. Nuts. He's like,
yeah,
he's such a wild physique.
Yeah. The pound for pound conversation too, I know that would be a very controversial convo to have, because it's like, pound for pound is hard to make a judgment on, because I think as these bodybuilders grow bigger and bigger and bigger in size, it gets harder and harder to get as detailed on stage. So I'd say that's probably, like, I would assume Samson, 50 pounds lighter, would have had an easier time getting just as detailed and as conditioned.
Exactly. And like, if bodybuilding was judged pound for pound, 212 wouldn't exist. Keon would do the open and would find out. But there's a reason he did 212, and it's because bodybuilding size still matters, which is why Samson is Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
But eventually, if Keon continues to grow at the rate he does, which he probably will, it'll be very interesting to see him in the open, because we've seen Derek win before, and it's like, be very, very interesting to see where Keon goes. He's definitely one to watch. It's going to be exciting.
Right. Mike Jim McLean asks PP size.
I was gifted with genetics everywhere but where it matters. So that'll give you your answer.
You don't know this guy, do you?
No, I've never heard of him, mate.
No, awesome. Fire.
I'm just being honest. We all wish it could be bigger.
Oh. At least you're not Asian. Simon Peterson asks, what bodybuilding related advice would you give to your younger self?
Don't Maingain. Not that I ever did, but to everyone else, don't Maingain. We'll just continue that theme.
Don't Maingain.
Like everything I said. It's like everything I said earlier, I kind of gave the advice to like a young bodybuilder. Same thing applies. I was lucky that I did fall in contact with the right people and got the right advice at the right age, but a lot of people don't. So seek it out, find it, and there's so much free advice out there. There's no excuse not to stumble across at least something remotely useful to save you doing something totally idiotic. So just learn.
I'd say especially in a sport or I don't know, a competitive area where you can fucking Foods podcast has got me a little like extra attentive on my verbiage with the use of sport and skill. But I don't know, especially in a competitive area where like you have the susceptibility to really fuck yourself up both mentally and physiologically.
For sure.
And
you gotta be careful
with your organs. Yeah, I mean, for sure, like getting the right advice is probably number one. This is just a question for myself, but I was kind of curious. Has there ever been any compound or anything that you've ever used that caused you the most issues, or that you just feel like is something that wouldn't serve you or that you wouldn't want to use in the future?
It's hard to say, not really. I think there was one off season where I tried MPP and literally at like 150 milligrams a week. But the prolactin like just skyrocketed, blood pressure skyrocketed, so I just pulled it out after like literally a few weeks. Which is why I'm just not a fan of Decus myself. I much prefer just the DHT, and that setup for myself means that then I don't have to run an AI and run all these things because everything's in check from just literally 3 simple compounds that quote unquote have relatively low toxicity. And as a result, my blood work's then been very good throughout the majority. So yeah, if I had to pick something like MVP, but I've not really done anything stupid, there's no real fun story where it's like, yeah, I took fucking 4 anadrols a day and it was awful. It's like I've always been smart to not do that. So yeah, literally. So yeah, no exciting story there, unfortunately.
Fire. That's awesome. Yeah, I always love hearing what people feel like on different compounds because everyone feels such different things. Like I used to feel great on NPP, and now for some reason I tried 100. I don't think I've even talked about this, but I literally just randomly added 100 milligrams of NPP to my off-season cycle just to like see if it would help with joints at all. And I got more anxious, man. And I was like, that's fucking crazy. Like off 100, what's going on with me now? So I don't know.
It's the 19 nor in it, isn't it? It just can fuck some people up more than others. It's like, I think it changes as well. Like, you know, I could run 150 MPP again now and could feel a little bit different now I'm older and shit's changed, everything's different. So it's like, yeah, it's fucking so complex that you never know. Everyone's different as well. So it's like, you can't just listen to me having an issue with something and then think that you could do the same and not have any issues, because you will, or you won't, or who knows. Yeah.
This was fucking awesome, man. I asked everyone at the end of every podcast the same question, but if you were to leave the earth tomorrow and you had one message you could send to the entire world today, what would that message be?
Oh, so that's a hell of a question. Fucking just, yeah, it's kind of just fall in love with the process again. It's like, just whatever you're doing, make sure you're enjoying doing it, because otherwise, fucking like, what are you doing it for? Who else are you doing it for? If you're not doing it for yourself because you don't enjoy it, it's like, you're probably doing the wrong thing. So find something you enjoy, stick at that, and then you will probably become successful at that if you do that for long enough, and then you'll be far happier because of it. And don't be a dick. That's the other one.
I like that one. That's a good one. That's awesome, bro. Thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
No, thank you so much for having me, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been really fun. It's been one of my favourite podcasts I've ever done, so I really appreciate your time and giving me this platform as well. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. That means a lot too. Where can everybody find you?
Just Jack Eagles on most platforms. Really exciting and interesting. Yeah, just Jack_Eagles is pretty much it for everything.
Hell yeah. All right. Thank you, bro. Thanks for coming on, man. Everyone, Jack Eagles, IFBB Pro, Detroit Pro, next fucking Savage Classic.
Thank you.
Olympian, potentially. And dude's also got a really cool, informative YouTube channel, so I recommend you guys check it out. Thanks for coming on, homie. That was fucking epic.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. That was sick. Yeah. Loved it.